In this video, we're going to cover Hibernate one-to-many bidirectional. So we'll make use of this one-to-many mappings where an instructor can have many courses. So here's our instructor, a list of courses, and we have the association. And note here, this will be bidirectional. So we can start with instructor, go to a course, or we can start with a course and go to an instructor. We'll also have this many-to-one mapping where many courses can have one instructor. So this is basically the inverse or opposite of one-to-many. So again, many courses can be mapped to one instructor. And remember that special requirement we have is that a course can have at most one instructor. But I know there are cases where you can have many instructors on a course, but let's hold off on that for now. So at this moment, we'll simply focus on many courses being mapped to one instructor. All right, so here's a real-world project requirement. So if you delete an instructor, do not delete the course, okay? And then a similar thing, if you delete a course, do not delete the instructor. All right, so these are some special project requirements here. So what this means here is that do not apply cascading deletes, right? So we can have fine-grained control over our cascade types. We'll list all of them except for the remove or delete. Alrighty, so here's our development process. So the first thing we need to do is set up our prep work, defining our database tables. Then we'll create the course class. Next, we'll update the instructor class. And then finally, we'll pull it all together by creating a main application. Alrighty, so let's look at step one of setting up our database tables. So we're going to have this new table for course. So here's our SQL for creating this course table. So basically, our course is going to have three fields: an ID, a title, and instructor ID. The primary key will be the ID, and then we'll add a special unique constraint here to prevent duplicate course titles. So we'll say unique key title. Make sure that we don't have multiple courses with the same title. If you try and add a course with the same title or duplicate title, the database will actually give you an error. All right, so let's go ahead and set up our foreign key. So here we have our database table for course, and we basically need to set up a relationship between the course and the instructor. So we have this foreign key for instructor ID that's in the course, and this will basically reference or map back to the instructor table, the ID column of that instructor table. So that's our foreign key relationship that we're setting up on our course table. Alrighty, now with the instructor table, there's actually no changes from the previous set of videos. We can keep the instructor table as is, nothing to change for the SQL for the instructor table, which is a good thing. Alrighty, step two of creating the course class. So we have this new table course. We need to create a class that'll map to that given table. So here we have the table, give the name up top, course. We have the ID, maps to the primary key, and then we have the title. So this is all kind of more the same. You've seen all this work before. We go through the normal steps of creating constructors, getters, and setters, and so on. But now the new item here is in the course class is setting up the relationship of many-to-one. Remember, you can have many courses mapped to one instructor. So here we have the @many-to-one annotation, and then we specify the join column, name equals instructor ID. So the join column is the actual column in our course table that'll map or associate to the instructor table so we can find the given instructor for this given course. So that's the purpose of the join column. So it basically references the column that's in our course table that'll allow us to map back and find the associated instructor. All right, so that pretty much wraps it up there for the course class. We're all set up. We have the table defined, we have the class defined, and we've mapped the given class to the database table. And then finally, we set up that many-to-one relationship.